what's up everybody? Ahmed Aldoori here. So I finally put up that new orc tutorial onto the store. The link is in the description, and I'm going to go ahead and use a chunk of it for the MEDCAST here because there are some valuable things that I figured I'd like to share anyway for those that don't want to get the tutorial. And it's a 4-part tutorial. It's just under 2 hours with full voice commentary. And it's around here you'll always learn something new. And again, if you'd like to get the whole tutorial, please visit the link in the description. And of course, your support is always welcome. Thank you times a million. I appreciate it all. Anyway, so check it out. If you want to learn how to do that, you got to slow down. And although you see a lot of speed paintings and time-lapse paintings on YouTube and Gumroad and ArtStation and all that, we tend to assume that people actually work really fast. I thought that for a long time too, and I know I've mentioned in one of my podcasts that when I first saw the work of Craig Mullins, there was a comment section for his painting, and it said, "Oh, this must be one of his I did it in an hour sketches." And ever since then, I assumed all of his paintings took under an hour, and they were so incredible. And because of that, I thought I had to get faster. And I did, but I think I missed out on a lot of epiphanies that I later got when I started slowing down and realizing that things take time. And just because people keep posting a lot of work really fast all the time, it doesn't mean they're doing them all in one day, or in one session. People like to, I know professional artists who spend 2 weeks on a single painting, and even then it's still not finished. I've yet to develop the patience to do anything like that yet, but maybe someday in the future. Anyway, so back to explaining what's going on in the painting. I'm picking up those highlights. So I'm selecting from the colors that are already in the painting. At this point, I don't really need to bring up the color wheel the big color box thingy where you pick the colors, because everything's really already on there. And if I want to pick a complementary color, I could just shift those sliders over. And one way to do that is if you have, let's say, that green selected or the brown, and you want to make it a cool version, you see where it says RGB at the top right there, where those 3 bars are and they're constantly moving? You could slide the G and the B over to the right, and it will make your color cooler, and vice versa. If you want to make it warmer, you slide those to the left. I would highly recommend practicing around with that and to get a feel for what those sliders do. And if those are not available, and you're not seeing that, and instead you're seeing the HSB, which is hue, saturation, and but I don't know, what does the B stand for? Brightness, right? You just switch it to RGB by clicking the little drop-down menu in the top right of the little box. And so here I'm selecting there we go. I flattened it. I was getting anxious. I'm like, I want to flatten. I'm really all about flattening things out because it feels, it's nice when everything is just one. I can't stand when there's hundreds of layers. This layer's for the nose, this layer's for the horns, this layer's for the armor. So yeah. Anyway, so there on the nose, I want you to notice something, and it's that there's a bright spot, where the tip is, right? And then around it is kind of dark. Oftentimes I see a lot of people making the whole nose really bright, and then they'll try to put a highlight on there, but it's all right to allow the top part, the top polygons, if you will, to be a bit darker. And if you look at old black and white photography, the really nice grainy kind of almost film noir photos, you'll find that the noses are actually pretty dark, and there's usually just a hot spot where that highlight is. And it's not until recent photography where we have high-res HDR super photoshopped imagery and airbrushed that we assume that what the camera sees is what we're supposed to draw. And if I was painting a human, I would actually add a lot of red blush. And if you look at paintings by Norman Rockwell and Leyendecker, when they painted Santa Claus, they made those noses really red. So I definitely want to do more artist spotlights, and I want to, what's it called? What am I trying to say? My next one I want to do, Leyendecker. I have all the images lined up. I know what I want to say. I read some stuff in the book, and I will be definitely doing that. I figure like a lot of the stuff I talk about is often referencing him and Rockwell and all this stuff. And I think referencing dead dudes, right, is what I want to do for a little bit. I could focus on living people as well, but that's anyway. I'm getting way off topic here. So anyway, we're looking at the facial hair, and I did use the that blender mixer brush. I keep saying blender. I don't know why. Also, so you'll see on the edges there's a little bit of like airbrushed things that I accidentally left out. So I'm just using the eraser and cutting out the silhouettes, and I'll even use the lasso tool like I am right there and erasing out. And of course the horn that's coming out of his head is casting a shadow onto his head. So I recommend looking for these opportunities to show objects casting light, casting shadows. This implies that there's a light source. Like, even though we're not looking at the sun in this composition, we feel like there is a sun or some kind of light. And once you have that, you start to add life to your painting. This is a huge thing that I realized, because in a lot of successful artwork of things that have reflective quality, like a car or even a face that has like shadows like this, they're far more successful when you can tell that there's a reflection of the sun in there somehow, one way or another, because you feel the environment more fully. And it's as if you have a tiny little mirror saying, hey, look, there's a sky here. Those are the highlights I was talking about earlier. So yeah, anyway, find ways to include a light source, or even if the light source isn't in your painting, include it by means of reflections. I guarantee you it will help your lighting. So yeah, now that it's all flattened, I'm just going around and picking different areas that I want to refine. I'm not going to go in there and refine all the little details. I just want to bring attention to the parts that I want people to look at. Now, if I was to like go pixel by pixel and render everything out, I think that's a bit of overkill for what I want to do with this piece, because it's just kind of like a character concept or a character illustration even. And it's stylized, so it doesn't have to be super photoreal. I know a lot of people do want that photoreal stuff. That's just not my thing, if you will. And I talk about that all the time. So I guess when I'm looking at this now, some things that I would do differently. I think the one thing that's kind of throwing me off right now is the pose. I think I like the fact that he's leaning over toward as if he's walking, but there's just something wrong with that leg that's coming forward, at least the lower half of it. I think it could be adjusted, or maybe even lifted from the air, or maybe the back leg could be lifted from the air, from the ground, right? Because that way you can imply motion. And if you make it look like your character is tripping, or just like falling over or moving in a direction, then you automatically have dynamic motion. And that's something I kind of picked up from watching Ian McCaig's visual storytelling DVDs. I highly recommend those. They're incredible. And he's just an awesome, fun, energetic person. If people are often saying that my tutorials and whatnot are kind of entertaining, and I think that just comes from just watching Ian McCaig, realizing that you're allowed to have fun while teaching. In fact, I think having fun and being silly is the best way. You have to be playful, because there's a certain inner child that we all have, that when we engage in that, we just soak in a lot of things, especially if it's fun, especially if it's entertaining. I mean, I could make this super dry and stale and boring. For those who want it to be more serious, but like, come on, I'm not gonna do that. It's just stupid. Anyway, so yeah, going around refining the silhouette here and there. There's a little bit of the line drawing showing here and there. I don't, there I'm actually refining the hand using the lasso tool and just drawing it in with the brush. I could also use the fill tool or the gradient tool for that, but it's kind of just the pen, or not the pen, the regular brush is fine for that anyway. And I guess that might have been an area, if I was to use more layers, I would maybe make the armor in a separate layer so that I could drop in maybe some photo textures to make that kind of more believable. But at this point, still, it's just a sketch. It's just a concept, really. And like, for example, where he's holding the weapon at the hilt thing of it, I don't have to really go in there and detail everything out. You could sort of just black it out and blur things a little bit. There I'm implying some anatomy because it was just kind of flat. So this the pectoralis muscle, if you will. So yeah, if you're interested in concept art, character design for games, this covers a lot of useful content. And it'll help boost your portfolios. And I cover the sketching process, the line art, the final details, and the polish for the whole orc concept. And it's a really chill, fun way to learn things. So check the link in the description, and thank you for tuning in. Click.